Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thanks again for joining me on Tour My Park by D-Man Robodad, aka Daddy D-Man. This will be a little bit different of a theme today. I am going to be saying a farewell to this park. I plan to destroy this shortly after the video was recorded. The Amazing Adventure Park was, the idea behind it was a series of mazes and challenges and obbies and stuff like that made by friends and followers of mine on Roblox. I tried to organize various times to see if anybody wanted to come into my park and build in specific areas. I'll show you later on set rooms that I had spread out with large enough space that people could build whatever they wanted to. That was the whole main idea around this. Initially it started, I built this big maze out of an idea that I saw another player have, so I was trying to use that idea. I wasn't trying to copy somebody else, but I was trying to use the same concept and make it my own. So this kind of what it started out with all the glass windows and the brick and stuff like that. And I was trying to make something, but I decided to do individual challenges in separate rooms. So that's what it kind of turned into. So this first challenge I made myself. It's called Jungle Maze. Here you can see the little warnings and whatnot, so people wouldn't complain they got stuck. I tried to warn them ahead of time. So as you enter, you fall down a big hole. Most of this is recorded in 3 to 4 times speed, so I'm not going to be able to keep up with everything I do. Just be advised. I'll try to talk about a little bit about here and there. The common room you see me return to repeatedly. The idea behind that was I needed a singularity type, a common singularity where I can make sure people would have to at least try to conquer the maze without backtracking. I'm sure all of you played mazes on paper. What do you do when you hit each dead end? You backtrack with your pencil, go around the other corner, and you keep going until you find it, and you backtrack again after each dead end. Well, I didn't want people doing that here. It wasn't going to make it as fun. So what I did was I made these different dead ends with points of no return. You'd cross over a point of no return where you couldn't get back out of it. Basically little holes that you would fall through. You'd have to decide or choose to commit to certain paths or whatever. So that's how a majority of the part made this maze and the future mazes I made as well. One of the other mazes anyway. So as you just noticed, I went over a large area that was an overpass with a bunch of obby challenges to not fall. So if you fell through that, you would just be back towards the beginning and you would try to climb up again. This had a similar idea. I couldn't figure out what I was doing to go up over there, but this, you go through these different tunnels. One of the tunnels leads beyond the other tunnels, just all had dead ends where you could back out of. So not every dead end was a point of no return type of dead end, although I did have that in some locations. This right here is an example. If you fall down one of these paths, you can bet there's actually a shortcut. But if you fall down to one of the other holes, then the only way out was a portal. You'll see eventually I run into a couple rooms with portals. I already did once already. So as we continue, that's the point where I was just at, where I was floating over, so I realized there you could go back if you fall into the one tunnel. So that's a point in the map where it overlaps each other. But you don't know that when exploring the map, or the maze. Now here I am on top. Most of this is blocked off by a big wall. You can try to traverse over the jungle and see if you could get across. Most of that's pretty much dead end. So continuing on, if you fell through those little holes back there, you would be back down at the bottom where you had to climb up and then balance yourself. That's what I was just above. So here I'm looking. I fell down to the bottom to show you an example of what I was talking about. There's another room, point of no return, but instead of me climbing through it, you can climb back out if you able to jump and challenge yourself to stay balanced. That wall right there, that's the way out. It's the edge of the maze. I put the wall there so obviously nobody could shortcut through. This was another dead end potential. I wasn't sure how far deep that went. I'd forgotten, so I backtracked and came back out. But that was another point of no return. I fell. I didn't want to fall, so I have a hard time climbing out. But I finally get out. So again, there were different point and no returns throughout the whole maze. There was probably 6 or 8 different places where you'd fall through, and if you fell through, you'd portal back to the beginning. You'd see the same room that you saw me start out at the beginning. I'll return to it once or twice. But at this point right here, I'm pretty much towards the end of the maze. If you got to this point, you were confused because you weren't sure what to go. I wasn't supposed to jump over there, but I think I had jump boost on at the moment, so I didn't, I wasn't sure. As you get to the cannons, there's these signs where you have to read, but obviously, because Roblox filter blocks half that out, it wasn't explanatory, so pretty much the whole idea of the maze was shot anyways. You get to these cannons, there's 6 different cannons, 2 of them are stacked upon each other in 3 different segments, so it's 2, 2, 2. If you go to the 2 middle cannons, the one on the bottom was the way out. As you can see, I didn't hit it right, or it's not working the way it was supposed to, which was another setback, and I think it was because of the green thing that I have surrounding the cannon, which you'll see in a moment as I get back over there. So that's an example where me going through the portal, I was back at the entrance. Now I'm on my way back to the exit of the cannon. And instead of stopping everywhere to show you, I just go right through the objective, the main way it's supposed to be, because I've already shown most of everything else. This is the way it's supposed to be right here. You're supposed to jump on this instead of climbing up through. I'm not sure why I was able to get through that easily. But as you climb through this, you come up from the bottom, and then that's where the signs are. You could go left from the signs. You've got a couple cannons to choose from. You go back down to the signs. You go to the right, and you get up to the other 2 cannons, the 2 sections of cannons. Again, 5 cannons will end you up in a dead-end pit, and the 6th cannon, the one I'm supposed to go to, which I do, for some reason it's not working. I think it's because that green thing blocking it kept blocking me to get out. The idea is the cannon will shoot you through a hole in the wall that's specifically aimed. If you hit the right cannon, you go through the right hole, you'll end up outside the maze next to a fireplace. But that's not it. I'm in the end of the room, and I said, screw this, I'm destroying the whole park anyway, so I basically dug my way out, destroyed the hole. So that's pretty much how you conquer the jungle maze. If any of you ever went through the jungle maze yourself, give me a heads up, comment down below, let me know what you thought of that maze. Here we're outside of the jungle maze now, doing my typical dance moves I do when I accomplish an objective. These signs were kind of saying read the signs before you continue, so people don't run off and get lost and ask me questions. The signs and the instructions were there. If you wanted, you can go back through this portal, which it does not exit the park. It's back to the jungle maze. If you choose to challenge yourself again, that's what that was for. It basically just makes you think, is there another objective in there? But there really wasn't. It was just me playing mind games with most of you. I laugh now. So the next objective I'm going to show you, I'm going to go through this catacombs maze, but before I do that, I wanted to show you the rest of the park. So I go back to the castle portion. I apologize if the music is too loud. I've been messing with the settings, trying to figure out why the music's so loud, trying to fix that, but I just turned it down for the most part at the moment. But this castle portion is just a bunch of tunnels going in different directions, not really any dead ends. It's basically a farm on 3 levels. You'll see me run through it periodically. Or you'll see me run through it for the next 5 minutes. Yes, the tune repeats. I couldn't find anything else to cover this whole area, so I looped the tune, but for some reason the volume keeps peaking pretty high. I gotta work on my editing skills, I guess. Anyway, so just running through all this in fast-paced, showing you general kind of what the whole maze area was. I'm at 4x speed right now, at the same edge where the jungle maze was, but I'm not going in the jungle maze, just walking around it. I tried to pretty much squeeze everything I could in different sections, or whatever space I could use for specific rides. I tried to see what else I could squeeze in that space. It ended up being a 3 different level kind of a farm, and you'll see kind of the structure in fast mode. I don't really stop to look at it real quick. Well, I do, but it's at 4x speed, so you don't see much. That's it right there. Just a different level stacked on top of each other. So as I continue to go through, eventually I'm going to come back to where the catacombs are. Should be any moment now, but at one point I tried to put in elevator sections. If you saw me have portals off to the side, I tried having elevator sections. Anyways, I come to the catacombs. I first go through this little grave site that I actually made as a memorial for those that I took personally or knew personally have passed away in my recent lifetime. So that's kind of what I've made here. It's mainly for myself so I don't forget, but in general, Robert was my gramps. He was my grandfather on my dad's side, passed away in 03 or 04. I named my son after him. Then Susan was my aunt. She had cancer, passed away when I was a teenager, or young adult, actually, my mom's sister. We miss her very dearly. I still talk to her children, my cousins. I do have an unknown. I had a girlfriend in high school, late high school, young adult years, who we had a miscarriage, and so that unknown is up in heaven somewhere. Never even knew the gender, so I never had a name for him or her. Trent was a best friend of mine in high school who passed away late after high school, early 20s. Long story there. And that's the September 11th memorial of my own. The 3M is 3000, September, and then the number we couldn't put in because it's filtered. MMI is 2001. We shall never forget. Again, that's just a memorial I made so I would never forget those who passed away in my lifetime. Getting a drink there, sorry about that. So as I leave this memorial thing, we glance at the catacombs. There'll be some warnings here coming shortly. Basically, anybody who's got some fears of these things listed, please don't continue or skip the next 8 minutes. If you have claustrophobia, necrophobia, arachnophobia, or hemophobia, that's the fear of those listed as I decided. But if you have those, you know what they are. Please skip to the next 7.5 minutes past this. So if you do proceed, you basically accept the warnings I preceded to you. And this is just a video, so here nothing's really intended to scare. It's just showing you what I made. So here, the first entrance of the catacombs room, it's just a mining operation that looks like it's been haunted or gone bad. Each room it's a square of 9 rooms on the first floor, 9 more rooms on the second floor. Each room has a hallway to either direction to connect to the next room. So there's really no maze to it, although as you go to one room, you can easily backtrack to the last room. It's really easy to get lost in these catacombs, and that was the challenge there, is try to figure out which rooms to go into to get to the next objective level. So eventually I come to a ride after I see these different storage rooms and storage capacities. You did see a big tomb there, which is the inspiration for my haunted house. I'm making catacombs with tombs on the outside. That's where I'm getting that idea from. Here's the first ride, a ghost chaser. It's just one side of the bottom floor to the other side of the bottom floor. The objective with that ride is to confuse you. You come off the ride and going back into the maze, you're like, I was just here, and it's supposed to twist you around. So as you come back out, you'll see some spaces I've already been in. You'll see me repeat various spaces a few times because I'm trying to get through them to go to the next. So here's another storage. It looked like it was body part storage kind of deal. Heads and body parts and stuff like that. Cobwebs in the walls. Next room I go to, more body parts, more storage, pit of blood. Looks like everything's falling apart. It's kind of the objective. Looks like a lot of TNT and dynamite. Give you kind of a creepy feel of what they were planning with the mines. The next storage room, I think we saw that one. One of these is in the middle. It's the middle piece room, so you could go in 4 different directions, go to the outer edges before the corners. So that's kind of what that was. This next storage room actually has the way out. You're supposed to go through this tunnel that I go through right now. I believe that's the one. Yeah, right there. Nope, that's the caves. Back to the mining shaft. Now I'm going to go through the exit. Right there, that's the exit. So as you go through this exit right here, You go through a back hallway which nobody can see unless you actually go through it. You find the Phantom Chaser, which was the second ride. The Phantom Chaser takes you to the next level. Anytime you ride these rides, you're in a dark caves in between the different rooms. So the 9 rooms on each level were split between like 3 tile spaces in between them. And I covered those tile spaces with black walls so it all looks black. I put smoke emitters everywhere and a bunch of scary images and flashing lights here and there. So it makes it really hard to see where you're at, but every now and then something will pop up in front of you and it's pretty scary. It's supposed to be anyway. So now that we're on the second floor above the bottom, they're both floors were literally stacked on top of each other. The second floor I've made hallways into actual bridges. So we first pass over this one bridge. You can see some ghosts chase through the windows, and it's supposed to be kind of something to look at as you pass through. It's like a hydroponics. I'm growing plants out of the skulls, I guess. Now we're in the jungle. It's pretty much kind of like the mini jungle of the jungle maze that you guys saw at the beginning of the video. It's just a small room though of it. Next bridge, you come to a blood room. This pool was literally 5 or 6 tiles deep, full of water. I put a water emitter down at the bottom, just colored it dark red. There's all the details of what's underneath the water. I'm swimming through it right now. So I was trying to get creative there, just make a little blood pit. Thought it was kind of cool. Next one we come to is another storage, just a bunch of webs and stuff like that. You see coffins on the walls, etc. It looks like a kind of a catacombs hallway. Same thing with that room, just a different layout of the catacombs. Actually, no, I think that's the same room I went through. You see me now backtracking to show a different room. So I'm now at a storage with toxic chemicals and stuff like that. So next we'll show, I believe, my favorite room is coming up. No, not yet. If you guys know what a retort is, that's this next room. A retort is a furnace specifically designed to incinerate bodies. Dead bodies go inside the retort, so if you glanced inside there, you see little skeletons and coffins. But that's what that was. It was just a retort, making it look like it's a crematorium. It's another storage room, the blood room. My favorite's coming up, the full spiderweb room. You saw spiderwebs already? This is it right here. This was made with multiple layers of clear glass covered with spiderwebs and fog emitters on different levels. It's supposed to look like you're literally floating in the spiderwebs. I was making that scene from the Hobbit or the movie Lord of the Rings, where the Hobbit was stuck in the caves with the webs. That's what I was trying to make in there. And then back to the spider room, to the final room coming up. It's the dead caves, bunch of caves and terrain. That's this right here. If you go left, it's the exit. But I was showing you how it connects to the rest. So there's the retort. Back out of the retort, back into the dead caves. If I turn back around, if you go right, that's the retort. If you go left, it's the hidden cave in the hallway. So you finally find the third ride, which is the Phantom Chaser, I think, or the actual Phantom ride. There's a slight wait as the ride's waiting to start, but you go through back to the caves, and then this ride kind of twists and turns, goes upside down, a bunch of webs in the way and stuff like that, things to scare you as you're going through the ride. The only way to get in this room coming up, which I call the throne room, the only way in is that ride. There was no way to walk into that room, and that's your way out. So here I explained on these different signs all the different rooms that you could have possibly seen. I figured if anybody missed a room or they wanted to see a different room that maybe they missed, it shows you right there what the rooms were. So my idea was to, hey, if you missed this, you can go back through one of these portals. The right portal goes back to the beginning, gives you a second chance to explore, see if you can find something you missed. Again, I called it the throne room, so I built an actual throne. As we exit, we are now on top of the catacombs entry that I made. All that should be recognizable. That is the completion of my tour of the catacombs. Again, I'm dancing, just typical. Look, I finished this. Here's we dance. Before we come on to the next and the hardest objective I made, which I actually had a hard time going through that myself. I'll show you the rest of the park. I told you about earlier, I made multiple large spaces as rooms that I wanted to share with the rest of you guys and let you all build space out of. So all that space you could have used if you were agreeing to, I guess, my terms. I basically had simple rules of respecting other space, etc. And that's pretty much what all that was. So now we're back to the glass house maze. And I have more warnings here, just basically if you're sensitive to flashing lights and closed space and high blood pressure and stuff like that, this would be something to avoid. And that's what that warning is: flashing lights, sensitive to bright flashing lights, enclosed spaces, escape room scenarios, etc. So skip the next 8 minutes, I think it said. Here's my glass wall of glass survivors, I called it. Those names successfully survived the glass maze. They made it through. And here's the names here so you can actually see what they were instead of the filter. Those 5 names I know of actually told me, and I supervised as they were going through. And I'll explain later how I supervised. I thought it was kind of entertaining watching you guys go through the maze. So that's what I did at the end. I'll do it, show you at the end. But as I finish looking at those names, we're going to go through the glass house maze. You can see how I try to conquer it. You'll see me get confused as well. But I put this warning here to make sure you guys understood. Please read the warnings that I had on the side of the glass house. Here we go. Let's try this glass house maze. See it from my perspective yourselves. There is bright lights as you first enter. I had orb lights on top of the glass house. I made them bright and far distance because I was trying to cover enough light to get to the bottom of the maze. So that's why it's all bright, and I do apologize about that. Eventually I removed some of the light as I get back to the top. Anyway, the whole objective of the glass house, so you guys understood what I was doing, I made one common singular floor with a large path to get through it. There's literally no way out of that bottom floor large path in the middle. The whole point of that was to create different points throughout the entire maze of either level where you'd fall down and you go all the way back down to the bottom. So that's what you see there. You fell down back to the bottom. The only way out is one different portal. So on the outer corner of the glass house maze on the bottom level is 3 different portals. 4 portals actually. All 4 of them, 3 of those portals go to the beginning of the glass house maze. Only one portal will get you out. And then there's a hint at the top where you first come in the entry. There's a hint there, but I was trying to show it, but it was too bright. It basically says look out for 3 options. And it was supposed to be a hint to tell you guys to pay attention to what you're doing before you actually enter the maze. So if you look for 3 options, what I'm talking about is 3 different floors to choose from as you come from the entranceway. So as you see here, I'm trying to navigate back way through, and you'll see me back at the beginning in here in a moment. Once you decide and realize that there's 3 options, and you start avoiding the bottom floor, you start realizing there's more options as you start to explore. If you only did the bottom floor, then that's why you always got frustrated, you always got stuck, and you probably gave up. Once you go to the 3rd floor and then the 2nd floor, which the 3rd floor is easier to get to, so I made that multiple options, but not the way out. The 2nd floor was the only way out. Once you get to the 2nd floor, there's a few options here and there. Different branches break off in different segments, but eventually as you navigate the 2nd floor, you'll eventually, and some of these had different tunnels and pathways up and down as well to make it confusing, but I'm referring to the different floors as where you start initially. So at this point, usually if you got to that point you're close to the end, but there's still enough objectives that you make a mistake and you're back at the beginning. So that's why some people would get frustrated, they couldn't figure it out. That's how you get to the 2nd floor. You get to the 3rd first and then jump down to the 2nd. Go down this way right here where I just showed, back up the tunnel. There's a hidden tunnel up that staircase. That's a big key. Once you see that hidden tunnel, you'll see me go through out of the staircase in the middle of the floor instead of going up all the way. I'll point out if I see it, it's right there. That was the hidden tunnel out of the staircase. Most people miss that. And that was the objective. You had to literally pay attention to the detail. Everybody got so used to glass being around them, they would just skip that hidden tunnel. So as you go through that hidden tunnel, there's other options here and there. But eventually you navigate your way through, and you finally figure out that There's 4 different corners. Four corners had a portal, so you start paying attention. The objective is each of the 4 corners had something different around it. Mostly it's that ride that's on the outside that goes through the glass maze. That's the objective everybody wants to get through. And that was my way of teasing you. You want to finish the glass house so you can actually go on the ride. So you see the ride through the glass house. Parts of the ride are different around all 4 corners. So as you start realizing the difference between the 4 corners, you start noticing how you got to each corner, and you start learning how to backtrack, and you start recognizing the pattern. You start figuring out where to go, where not to go, and that's pretty much how you find your way through the glass mouse. Again, I start realizing the points of no return, so I don't go through certain points of no return. I know where they're dead ends. That's why I'm going back and forth, back and forth. I know that's a dead end. I know this corner over here is a dead end. Right there's a dead end. Now if I go to my right to the very other corner all the way at the end, that's where the dead end is. But you have to figure that out. And you have to commit to you have to decide your actual path, because obviously there's points of no return all over the place. So as I continue up here, we've been up here plenty of times already. Fall there, fall there. Yep, I went through that hidden portal tunnel again there, right there coming out. Eventually there's this long pathway that I'm going to fall into. I think that's it, but no, went the wrong way. Not sure, it's moving too fast, so it's hard to follow. Right there, this long pathway is where you want to be. But you don't go that first ramp, you go up to second ramp. You got 2 options, left, right, left, right. You go left. Yep, go left. A couple dead ends there that are nothing. You find the stairway, you get to the top. There's 4 options you can go through. Either of the 4 options lead you to the same series of choices. It's just a big room. It's there to confuse you depending on where you fell. Once you fell and went to the way, you're supposed to go through that tunnel and end up back here again. End up back here, you don't go, you get to this split right there where there's two ways to fall. Get split right there, see if I can catch it real quick. Hold on, get to this split right there, you go right. If you go right, that's the proper way, I believe. Yep. So you go right, and then one of these, I think you fall right there, but I doubted myself, so I backed up until I found a different stairway, and then I come back to that point. That's not it. That's not it. One of these doesn't actually go to the portal to return to the beginning. Sometimes some of the points of no return you back to like midway in the path, still to throw you off. But once they get to that point where there's 2 options, left or right, to fall, I believe you go through the right. I'm trying to remember, but I can't until I actually see it. So I was confused. Yep, there we go. There we go. Back up that way. Back that way. Oh, nope, I missed. Here's long tunnel, turn right. Go left, fall down, go to the top. 4 options to choose. Fall down, go left, right. Go up to the top again. So, oh, no, I think I went the wrong way. Oh, no, I'm in the right spot. Now I'm in the right spot. I recognize this. I am nearly at the finish right now. We are at the finish. That way, that's the option right there. Actually, it looks familiar because it is, but it confuses people, and that's the whole objective. That confused me, and then... So we don't go down that... No. Oh, I did go that one that way. So there it is. That's the finish. Yeah, it's hard to follow even in fast pace. But that's kind of how you're supposed to finish that glass house. I'm going to try to remake something like that, but it's not going to be a structured glass house. I'm going to make something similar to that in a haunted house. I'm not sure exactly how, but once you read those warnings, you have the option of going back through the other way or jumping on the ride. The ride takes you out of the glass house. Pretty cool rock song, fast-paced, hardcore song right here. Kind of celebrate too, I guess, as you're going through a hardcore ride. It's hard to follow because everything's going so fast. I do speed it. Actually, I think I slowed this part of the video down. It's, I think, at its normal 1 speed or maybe 1.5 speed, so it doesn't take too long. I do have images of portals at one time. It's supposed to look like you're falling into a portal. I was just trying to add special effects to it. For the most part, all of the ride here is blocked off from the main portion of the maze, so I didn't want people trying to hop on the ride as it passed by. But as you get to this station, that is the exit only. Once you go through that portal, you're done with the glass house. If you stay on the ride, you end up back inside the maze, which was not the objective. So that there, folks, is how you complete the glass house. Now here's my way of keeping track of you guys when I was curious and bored and wanted some entertainment to watch. You. It was hilarious. You notice there's a little hidden wall back there. You can't see it because it was hidden. It blends in. So I'd come up here and I'd stand up here on top and I'd watch you guys. Sometimes I'd give you hints or I'd talk to you. You guys would see me, you'd talk to me, you'd wonder where I was or how I got up there, and I told you it was hidden. But that was pretty much that. So that's pretty much all of Adventure, Amazing Adventures, and I did spell it amaze with maze, M-A-Z-E. Thanks for watching to an amazing adventure with me. Second part to this video will come in a couple weeks. You'll see me destroy this part. Pretty much destroy it all in fast pace for the next hour or two. Thanks again for watching.